to fold a 5-pointed and 6-pointed star or snowflake. Now, it's going to take a little practice. If you don't get it right the first time, there's probably just maybe one minor mistake you're making. So don't worry if your first one doesn't come out. You're just going to try it again. So to begin with, you'll need to take a piece of paper and hold it in what's called a landscape or horizontal position. Now, step one is to take your paper and fold it from the left to the right, like that. So that'll be step one. And I'll number these for you so you can see them all. After step one, you should have the fold on the left side and 2 flaps on the right side. For step two, you're going to do this. You'll fold the left side again to the right side, crease it, and unfold it. So it's simply a fold and unfold. And you're finding the median of this rectangle, or the line that bisects it down the center. So that's step two. So when you're done, step two will look like step one, but now you'll have that crease line. Now for step three, you're going to do this. You're going to be folding this corner, this upper left vertex, down to the midpoint of the base. So here's the bottom or base of your rectangle, and the crease is in the center. It makes a midpoint. You're going to take the upper left vertex and fold it down there, so it'll look like this. You'll take the upper left vertex and fold it down to that midpoint, like so. That is step three. Let me put another piece of tape on that just to hold it. There we go. That is step three. So we took upper left vertex, folded it down to the midpoint of the base. That's what that crease was for. Now, when you do that, you'll find that it forms a triangle here. This is a right triangle because it has a 90-degree angle. It's scalene because it has a short, medium, and long side, or a hypotenuse. So it has 3 different side legs. So that triangle is very important for step four, because in step four, what you're going to do is fold along the hypotenuse, the longest side right here, so it looks like that. So you're folding that triangle up onto the rest of the paper, like so. That'll be step four. And I'll put another piece of tape on that, just so you can see it, like so. And that's step four. And the final step five is this. Your paper now looks like that. I'm going to move it down here. I turn it over, and then I fold it like the wings of a paper airplane. So you have this angle here. You're going to bisect that angle by touching this side to this side. So I'm going to fold those 2 sides so they're together and crease it. So now you've got that crease that bisects that angle. So fold these 2 sides of the angle together like so. That's step five, your final step. It will then look like an ice cream cone, and that's what you want. If you turn it over, you'll notice on the bottom you have the ice cream cone, and on the top you have some scoops of ice cream. The scoops of ice cream are waste. The ice cream cone itself is the snowflake. So I'm now going to unfold it and show you how it looks, but let me tape this one up so you can see how it should look after your last step. I'll put it like that and like that. And that is step five. So I've now drawn a line on this, and below that line is what I call the ice cream cone, and above it is the ice cream itself. The ice cream is waste, and everything else below that will make the star. So I'm going to begin by cutting off the ice cream from the ice cream cone. I'm using very technical terms here for geometry, right? Ice cream and ice cream cone. Now, once I've done that, I'm left with a right triangle again. Now, I wouldn't suggest you unfold it just yet, but let's take a look what happens if you do. If you unfold your first one, you may never get it back together, but it made a perfect pentagon. Perfect 5-sided pentagon. a regular pentagon. Now, this sharp point down here is the center of your star or snowflake. The short side is the outside or perimeter of the pentagon. And these two sides, the hypotenuse and the long leg, are the interior. So for example, if I take the sharpest, most acute angle and I cut it at an angle like this, what do you think is going to happen when I unfold it? So I've removed this piece from it. So I cut that off. What do you think is going to happen when I unfold it? Remember, that's the center of the snowflake. And it turns out it puts a star in the center. Ta-da! If I fold it back together and I cut this short leg of the triangle, and I'll cut it kind of fancy this time with some different kinds of scrolling cuts. So that's what I did. What will that do? Well, let's see. It makes a beautiful pattern on the perimeter of the star or pentagon. And lastly, if I cut the hypotenuse of the triangle or the longer leg, for example, if I cut this, I removed this shape. What do you think that's going to make when I open it up? So we can talk about things like symmetry. The pattern that goes all the way around the circular region of this pentagon is called radial symmetry. This is called bilateral symmetry because I have this little kind of a teardrop shape cut out of there, but when I open it up, what I've actually done is created two of those side to side, creating a heart. And there, my snowflake is starting to look prettier and prettier. Let me fold it back up and I'll make one more cut on this one. And I could cut like half a Christmas tree there. I could cut maybe part of a diamond or something like that. And I could come up with all kinds of shapes that I could cut out of there that would then become other shapes once I unfolded it. And I'm going to cut something, I don't even know what I'm going to cut. I'm just going to start making a design here and I'll see what it does. I think I'm making a butterfly, but let me put something else here too. I'll put that in there, followed by that, followed by, I don't know, maybe this. Now, look at that. What's that going to make when I open it up? It's always kind of a surprise and kind of like a Christmas present surprise when you open it up and see what you got. But look how pretty this is, all the different intricacies of that 5-pointed star. Now, what I usually have my students do with this is we put it under a book overnight, where they take their favorite ones and they'll set a book on top of it overnight. When they come back the next day, it's nice and flat. These can be taped to a window to look like snowflakes. You can tape it to a window and then get a can of fake snow from the Dollar Tree and spray the glass. And when you pull this off, you've got a beautiful snowy snowflake there on the glass. I've had my students put them on Christmas presents in place of a bow. Just glue it onto a Christmas present that they've wrapped. There's lots of different things you can do with this. We've also put them on colored construction paper, which is really pretty, to put a white snowflake on maybe a navy blue background or a red background for Christmas or something like that. So lots of things you can do with that. Have fun experimenting with that. And now we'll try the 6-pointed snowflake. For this 6-pointed snowflake, you'll again start with your paper in what's called that landscape position, or horizontal. And step 1 for the 6-pointed snowflake is identical to the 5-pointed snowflake. With your paper like this, you'll simply fold it in half so it looks like a booklet or a card. So that's step 1, nice and easy. Let me tape this up here, and I'll put a 1 on it. So after step 1, you should have a folded edge on the left, 2 pages on the right. For step 2, you're going to fold the top down to the bottom. Now you'll have a crease on the top, a single crease, a double crease on the left, and 4 individual pages down here. Single crease here, double crease there, 4 pages. So you take step 1 and simply fold it down to get step 2. I'll put the tape on there to hold it for you guys, and I'll put a big 2 on there so you can see it. That's step 2. Now for step 3, you'll do this. With your paper like this, you're going to fold the top down to the bottom and then back up to create the median or middle line on that rectangle. So this is step 2, and for step 3, you fold down and right back up like that. Let me take that up there, and you'll see a creased line there in the middle on step 3. Now, step 4 is the trickiest step of all. What you're going to do is this. You're going to take the lower left corner and put it onto that median, that middle line. So lower left corner goes on the middle line. But there's an infinite number of places you could put it on the line. I could put it there, I could pull it down there, I could pull it further. You want to keep pulling it until you get a corner or vertex up there. It will look like this. So step 4 goes like this. You're going to fold this corner, this lower left corner, up onto that line so that it creates a vertex up there. You don't want it to look like this with a straight edge. You want to keep pulling it down that line until you get a sharp, acute angle up there. So let me take that up so you can see it. And that is step 4. A good way to tell if you've done step 4 correctly is, does it look like Nevada? So this kind of looks like the state of Nevada, except Nevada's that way. This will look like that. So it's Nevada that's been rotated. Now teachers, here's a good tip to help you in the classroom. When you have 30 or so students trying to do this at once, I have my students sit in teams of 4, and I go to each table and say, that person has it right. Go to the next table, that person has it right. That way the other people at the table can compare to that person. I only have to go around and point out 8 people who've done it correctly, and the others then imitate that. And if they have any problems, that team leader can help them. Now, step 5, or last step, is not too hard. It now looks like this, like Nevada. I'm going to turn it over and do that fold that I did before, where I take this side, and I put them together to bisect that angle. So you can see a crease running there bisecting this angle. So put this edge onto that edge like that. So let me tape that up there, and that is our 5th and final step. Let me put a 5 on that. Let's see if it'll stay in place here. So below the brown line, you see the ice cream cone. Above that brown line is ice cream. Remember, the ice cream, we're going to eat it. We don't need it. So when I cut that off, what do you think is going to happen if I open this? Again, you get that scalene right triangle. But when I open it, it makes an absolutely perfectly regular hexagon. I'll fold it back up, and you may get to where you can unfold it and refold it. It's not an easy thing to do. But again, the most acute angle is the center of your snowflake. The short side is the perimeter of the hexagon, and the hypotenuse and the long leg are interior parts. So I'm going to make some cuts on this. And I think what I'm going to do is this. Instead of cutting my corner off like I did before and making a 6-pointed star, I'm going to do this. I'm going to bring it this way, and then like this, then that, and then that. There we go. So I cut this little jagged kind of lightning bolt out of the side. What do you think that's going to do to the center of my snowflake? Let's find out. And look what I got in the middle of that. Isn't that pretty? I got kind of a star inside of this star. Now look, I've got hardly anything left of that. What's going to happen when I open it up? It's looking pretty. Let me flatten it out a little bit so you guys will get a good view of it. And there you have it. Look at that. Hardly anything left, but it's absolutely pretty. See if you can think of a way to cut a Christmas tree out of it, cut a shape so that when you open it up, you get 6 Christmas trees. I had a student one time, every letter of his name had bilateral symmetry. Like the letter B, the top half of the B and the bottom half look the same. The letter O, the two halves of an O look the same. So he cut out half his name, and when he unfolded it, his name appeared 6 times on his snowflake because he could unfold it after he cut out half of each letter. So try lots of different things. Do lots of these. Maybe make, 8 or 10 or 12 of them. And then you'll find the more you do them, the prettier they become, and save your best ones to use for your art project.